Hello to all Cinemaster lovers. Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. The movie The Midnight Man begins in an old house in 1953 where three children are sitting, lighting candles they have with them, passing the time while feeling scared. It becomes apparent that they are playing a very dangerous game. When they hear a sound in the place, their fear increases and one of them refuses to continue the game. Suddenly, they hear a terrifying sound and the game tells them it is not over yet. One of the children becomes frightened and steps out of the salt circle they made. The other two are shocked when someone appears, grabs the girl, and immediately disappears. The two remaining children are forced to stay within the salt circle. Suddenly, the place is covered in blood, and they are even more shocked when the strange entity appears holding their friend's head. Terrified, the two run to the door to escape, but Anna, the owner of the house, asks her brother to return because they are breaking the rules. When he doesn't listen to her and leaves the house, the mysterious entity appears and kills him, leaving Anna screaming. The story then shifts to the present time, where Anna has become an old grandmother. Her granddaughter, Alex, takes care of her because she has been sick for some time. Alex places her grandmother in bed and goes downstairs to talk to her friend, Miles. Miles suggests coming over to spend the evening with her, and Alex agrees. Suddenly, she hears her grandmother's voice and goes upstairs to check on her. When the grandmother learns that Miles is coming, she reacts strangely, and before Alex leaves, the grandmother asks her to go down to the basement and bring her handheld mirror. She tells Alex that the mirror is in her special box in the basement. Alex goes down and finds something covered, moving closer to it while feeling very scared. When she uncovers it, she discovers it is just a statue. She then goes to her grandmother's box and finds an old gun inside, along with other items. Eventually, she finds the mirror she came for. Suddenly, Miles appears and frightens her. They both look at the mysterious box together. Inside, they find a small locked box and become curious about its contents. Miles opens the box and discovers many candles and papers. When they look at a particular paper, they find blood fingerprints and read the names of 3 people listed on the blood contract, including the grandmother, her brother, and others. They also find pictures of each person with their fears written on the back of the images. Suddenly, they are shocked to see the grandmother standing in front of them, screaming loudly and telling them, "You've opened the game." She immediately collapses to the ground. Alex calls the family doctor, who arrives quickly with his assistant. The doctor confirms that the grandmother is just old and needs care. When he learns that the grandmother went down to the basement, he is very surprised because she hasn't left her room in over 10 years. He asks Alex to take good care of her and promises to visit them again. After the doctor leaves, Miles and Alex are still puzzled about the grandmother's screaming and don't understand what she meant by opening the game. They decide to go back to the basement to investigate further. They find instructions for the game, which involve writing their names on the contract, adding their blood fingerprints next to their names, lighting candles, and turning off all the lights in the house. The contract must be hung on the door, and before midnight, they must knock 22 times on the door to complete the ritual. Meanwhile, the grandmother hides in the closet, screaming in terror at what might happen. After finishing the knocking, Miles extinguishes the candle but relights it again, following the rules precisely. They continue reading the rules and learn that the Midnight Man is now in their house. They must avoid him from midnight until 33 minutes past midnight. However, since nothing seems to happen, they decide to go back to the box to search for the missing piece of the rules. Suddenly, Alex hears her grandmother's voice and decides to check on her. Miles tries to scare her and offers to accompany her since they've summoned the Midnight Man, who might harm her. Alex doesn't pay attention to him and takes the candle with her, as it is essential for the rules. Miles continues searching the box until he finds the missing piece of the rules. Meanwhile, Alex leaves her candle and enters the bathroom to check on her grandmother. Suddenly, the grandmother appears in the room and extinguishes the candle. Alex counts the seconds until 10 seconds pass. Meanwhile, Alex learns from the rules that they shouldn't stay in one place for too long during the game. Additionally, if their candle goes out, they must relight it within 10 seconds. Otherwise, the Midnight Man will appear and show them their worst nightmares. Since 10 seconds pass, without relighting the candle, Alex finds the bathroom door locked. A strange entity appears before her, asking her about her worst fear. Without responding, the entity knows her worst fear is blood. She starts screaming, and the grandmother hears her. Suddenly, Alex emerges from the bathtub covered in blood, and her condition is very critical. Grandma keeps making strange movements and screaming, which affects Alex a lot. Bleeding keeps coming from everywhere until Miles finally enters and it wasn't real. Miles immediately makes a circle of salt around Alex and starts asking her about her candle. Alex is upset and wants to go out, but Miles stops her and assures her that he read the rest of the rules and goes to get the candle. Alex asks him what happened to her from the second moment. Alex asked him to explain to her everything that was happening, so he told her that they opened a scary box and if they made any small mistake they would die. And Miles knew that if they separated for any reason, she had to keep her candle, and if the candle went out, it would make a circle of salt and stay inside it. And of course, this was before 10 seconds had passed. And Miles then said that after he finished reading the rules, he wanted to make sure, so he stood up to blow out his candle and counted 10 seconds. And suddenly, he found that the statue's appearance had changed, and the mysterious creature appeared from behind him to see his fear. So the creature confirmed that Miles Miles was very scared, and that's why he started pressing his face in a very scary way. But Miles saved Alex's candle, which went out in time, so the Midnight Man left him and went to Alex. So Alex became more scared when she heard what happened to Miles, and she realizes that the situation they are in is not as easy as they thought, and is finally convinced that they will continue like this until 3:33. And suddenly the door opens and their friend Kelly enters because Miles had called her to stay up with them before they start the game. So Alex and Miles explain to her what is happening to them and that they are currently in the Midnight Man game. But Kelly does not believe very much in the strange situation. So she offers to join them in the game, and as soon as the Midnight Man approaches the place they are in, the atmosphere is very cold to the point that the candles burn. But they quickly light the candles again before the nest passes seconds, and then Kelly cleans up the game and looks at the blood on the necklace. And at that time, Kelly asks Alex if her mother died in this house or not. So she is under Alex's warning, the child. And no one knew about this matter at all because the grandmother saw that this matter was embarrassing, that her daughter died in this way. And Alex? She's saying this now because her mother might have opened the toy box like they did, and that was her fate. Especially since when grandma saw her daughter dead in front of her eyes, she didn't care at all. At this time, Alex looks into her grandmother's handheld mirror and is shocked to see the reflection of the Midnight Man. Suddenly, their candles go out. Terrified, they quickly relight the candles before 10 seconds pass. Kelly suggests going to the basement and making a salt circle to stay inside. However, Kelly's candle goes out and they run out of matches. Kelly hears the Midnight Man's voice, who appears before her to scare her further. She tells him she is protected by the salt circle and he cannot approach her. However, the Midnight Man cheats. He punctures a water bucket, causing the water to approach the circle and erase the salt. Kelly quickly tries to fix the situation, but the Midnight Man throws the entire bucket onto the circle, erasing it completely. She is terrified of rabbits, a giant rabbit, and he keeps reminding her that she slaughtered her rabbit in the past. The Midnight Man forces her to bring the knife close to her neck and she ends her life. But suddenly, Kelly wakes up and finds that nothing happened to her. When the doctor learns about Kelly's situation, he confirms that she is in great danger. At that moment, they ask him how he knows so much about the game, and the doctor explains that he was a friend of the grandmother and that she brought him the day she started the game with her brother and her friend. However, the doctor did not participate in the game and stayed hidden. He confirms that the grandmother was the only one who survived that day, yet she kept playing repeatedly as if she were trapped by the Midnight Man. Over time, the grandmother introduced new players to the Midnight Man. The doctor begins to explain that the man is an angry and mysterious entity, especially since the Midnight Man hates losing. That's why he might even cheat in the game's rules, and he is incredibly skilled at it. The doctor suggests letting Kelly keep the Midnight Man occupied until the game destroys him, but Alex refuses because Kelly is definitely in danger, and they decide to go to her. Meanwhile, Kelly is utterly devastated, crying over what is happening to her. She keeps hearing hallucinations in her head to the point where she sees the rabbit she slaughtered in the past. Suddenly, she feels extremely cold, collapses to the ground, and ends her life just as she envisioned at the beginning. Alex and the others arrive and are shocked by the way Kelly died. The doctor confirms that they must enter the basement and destroy the game before things spiral out of control. As they look at the photos of those who participated in the game, Alex is shocked to discover that her mother was among them and that she was afraid of heights. That's why the Midnight Man forced her to end her life from a high place. Alex starts to recall more details, realizing that her grandmother was very violent towards her on that day. She becomes deeply upset, knowing that her grandmother sacrificed her daughter and led her into the trap of the game. Now, the grandmother has done the same thing to her granddaughter, Alex. They begin to create a circle of salt around themselves, but suddenly, the grandmother appears before them. The doctor tries to calm her down, while Alex yells at her, blaming her for the death of her only daughter. The doctor assures them that he is not participating in the game, so nothing will happen to him. However, what the doctor didn't account for is the crazy grandmother. Suddenly, the grandmother attacks him viciously, beating him with all her might, and the doctor dies in a horrific manner at the hands of the grandmother, who has completely lost her sanity. All of this happens under the terrified gaze of Alex and Miles. Suddenly, the grandmother starts crying, saying that she was just a little girl who didn't know anything. Alex raises her weapon and shoots her in the head immediately to end her. But suddenly, the Midnight Man shakes them again, and there are only 3 minutes left until the scheduled time, meaning they are about to win the game. At that moment, the Midnight Man reveals his terrifying face and says to them, "I am very sad." They remain inside the circle until the clock strikes 4, and the game officially ends. Miles steps out of the circle and goes to check on the dead doctor. He notices the candle in his hand and is shocked to find that the candle has not yet reached 33 minutes. They realize that the Midnight Man tricked them into stepping outside the circle. Alex is horrified when she sees the Midnight Man attacking Miles and killing him in a brutal manner. He then stands before Alex, removes his mask, and says to her, "Your tears mean nothing to me. Your game is over." Sometime later, the doctor's assistant and his son are in the mysterious house. The assistant confirms that everyone in the house met a horrific fate, meaning Alex also faced her fatal end. But the bigger problem arises when the assistant's son notices the forbidden box. Driven by curiosity, he decides to open the box to discover what's inside. The movie ends on this note. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more new videos. See you next time.